with the invention of the electric guitar,
Yeah.
musicians kind of lost the ability to play with a blend, with a dynamic blend, because the electric guitar volume, electrical volume, it's way louder than the acoustical level of a trumpet. And as far as what I know, the trumpet is supposed to be the loudest
Yeah.
acoustical instrument.
Yeah, when you're louder than a trumpet, it's saying something.
Yes. So when you're louder than a trumpet, because the guitarist, both it could be both coming from the bass or whatever rhythm guitar, surpasses that trumpet level, then for you to blend with him at that level, your cheeks would have to be exploding.
Yeah, man.
You'd have to you blow a trumpet, you'd have to blow so hard.
Oh man, yeah, I've been in that situation before, and it's not a fun experience.
Nah, and taking away the guitar amplifier from a guitar player is like taking away the baby off his mommy's breast.
Yeah, I've definitely heard some guitar players that are very
Adamant.
passionate about their sound with the amplifiers, right?
That's total nonsense. I know a lot of people go to push back, but the reason why that is nonsense, right? A guitar amplifier is a very generic amplifiers. For the output stage, most of them have like 2 KT88 or 2 6L6. It have like a phase inverter stage, and it have a preamp stage. Very generic. There's nothing special about it. The tone, the bass and treble inside of it is a very generic bass and treble tone control that you'll find inside of your house component system. There's nothing magical about a guitar amplifier.
So it doesn't actually alter the sound that much compared to if it were to go direct into the board?
If it alters it, is 0.0001 difference from here to moon.
Wow.
And then when you weigh the pros and cons of going direct versus going into the amplifier, and people believe it, you put a mic in front of it, well then you created a problem where the microphone that's on stage now picking up all the ambient noise around it.
And that can probably create some feedback or other issues.
Not so much feedback, but ambient noise. For example, the guitarist might be playing a high pitch, on his high strings, and you might need to EQ to emphasize on that. So what starts to happen now, or I might be playing somewhere in the mid string, low string. So whatever noise or whatever other instrument that is in that range that you're trying to EQ, and now you're going to amplify that noise.
Interesting.
And you're not going to, instead of getting a clean guitar solo, now you start to pick up all the other interference that comes with it. And I don't know if you notice, when you go and you watch it like some major artists, you will see like the guitarist playing a solo.
Yeah.
And you're not really not hearing the solo. On the post recording, you will hear it during the show, but after the show, when you're playing it back, you won't hear the same value of the guitar, because the guitar amplifier is giving the engineer a false impression as to what the real tone and volume is. So it causes the engineer to make the wrong decision both in level and in EQ adjustment. And is why you've seen it for yourself, and you heard the result from the owner of the club.
Yes. Yeah. You're talking about D. Piazza's when you came and redid the sound system there?
Yes. And I've done it several places, and the results speak for itself. You see, the guitar amplifier industry is $1 billion industry.
Yeah.
And of course, I just like the tape machine. People, analog is better. Well, all the people was making huge profit out of tape machine. they had to also say goodbye to the digital era because, for example, what you're doing here now with the podcast, just imagine if you was trying to do that back in the days.
Oh
of
man, that would
reach.
be so expensive with all the tape.
I know by now you'd be probably looking at the chip to see how much more you
Yeah,
have.
I mean, like, we have 2-minute conversations here. That's all I can afford. Like, that's
Yeah,
it.
well, that's the beauty with digital. It makes just about everybody can start something and you get
Yeah.
real good quality and you don't have to deal with the technical drawbacks like the constant tape alignment, the wow and flutter and all the different issues that is associated with tape machines.
So you're saying that because it's so interesting because I've definitely heard like tons of times that so many people are like, tape is warmer and all this kind of stuff. You're saying that's not the case.
Here's what I found out that they associate with a warm sound, right? A tape machine, right? You could get a brand new tape machine out the box. The moment you hit tape, it becomes a second generation. That's the first thing, right? You could have a brand new tape machine with azimuth perfectly aligned. As time go by, because of the friction that is rubbing from the tip, from the magnetic tape to the head, is going to cause a wear within the head. And over time, the azimuth start to need alignment, and then you start to lose high frequency from the 10K on up to the 16K.
So the longer you use the tape machine, the worse it'll start to sound because it wears down. Is that what you're saying?
So yes, because you start losing those frequencies. So that's one problem. So I did a study where I have 2 exact digital recording.
Wow.
Yeah, and I did with one of the recording what tape machine does. It start to roll off the high frequency. So anything like a hi-hat, your cowbell, a hi-hat, a triangle, what do you call that? The highest pitch on the keyboard and like a grand piano.
Oh, just like the highest note.
What's that highest note? Whatever it is.
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, so anything that resides in that range.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You start to lose the full range of that. So I did with 2 exact digital recording, roll off the high frequency and kind of bump the bass a little bit. And everybody at the grandma point to the one that I altered and said, it's warmer. That's the tape machine.
Yeah.
So I start to associate that's what people call in warm.
Interesting. So you can recreate that effect digitally as long as you know what sound you're looking for.
Yeah, but
Is
why
that what
would
you're
you
saying?
want to do that? You see, the whole good thing about digital, and everybody can agree, is why I'm having problems with their theory. What you put in is exactly what you get out. And I'm quite sure that everybody, or 99.9% of the people, agrees with that.
Yeah.
So that's the engineering objective. Is if you put A, you don't get A.1 or A minus 1 back out. Right? With tape machines, even as a brand new tape machine, you can read it on the instrument. You have the wow and flutter. You have crosstalk where your trumpet might be bleeded a little tiny bit on the neighboring track. So if you're on track 2, it might be bleeding a little bit on track 1. And as times goes by, it gets worse. So is what kind of prompts. I'm glad that digital is here. It's not going nowhere. It's only going to get better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when it comes to digital versus analog, like, what would you say gave those classic, like, 1980s reggae albums, like, that distinct classic sound? Like, do you think it was more attributed to the gear, or was it more like what you guys were doing with the mixing and engineering?
Here's what. It's 2 things. Because I've been through this before. You have a drummer like Santa Davis or Styles Scott or Slide and Bar, right? Because they're all great players, they know how the correct way to hit and play the instrument.
Yeah, of course.
And then you get somebody who is not so good, and he start to say, why don't make me sound like these other drummers? Well,
it's not your job to make him sound good. They got to be
I
able to
can make
play
it
right.
sound a little bit better.
Yeah.
But the first thing is, the better the musical composition is and the better the player is, the better the mix.
Absolutely.
So part of it is the yin yang have to have good musicians,
Yeah.
and then the engineering techniques that I develop in Jamaica can enhance whatever the musician plays.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point, and that's like it's so obvious. Yeah, it's I think sometimes people might overcomplicate it, like, oh, I need to get this gear, I need to do this and this and this. It's kind of like what you were saying with digital, like what you put in is what you're going to put out. So make sure that you're putting
out
something
Yeah.
good in to begin with, you know?
Yeah. At first, have to start from, we need good musicians,
Yes.
good players. We can make the nonsense sound a little clearer, but it's not going to replace real good players. It's kind of
Yeah.
what missing in today's music. In today's music, it's more like a one-man band, one producer.
Yeah.
Some of them very good at it, but some people, they want to play the keyboard, the bass, the guitar, sing, write, compose, arrange everything
Yeah.
by one individual. So after a while, it kind of lose the natural flavor that when you work with a collaboration of talented musician can bring to it.
Absolutely.